Capital Park Rovos Rail really is a special place to work. Although we're at a train station and it's a very technical environment, we're also very fortunate to be surrounded by so much nature.
We have a garden here where I've planted 3,000 trees over this period of time, and most of the trees you see around here were planted back in 1995.
We have some rescue donkeys and horses walking around the property, even alpacas. Quite often you'll be distracted by the hooting of a locomotive as it's rushing by, trying to get all the little springbok out of the way.
Rovos Rail headquarters in Capital Park, Pretoria is a work environment like no other. I think when I returned and saw the staff, saw the trains moving, heard the first locomotive sound its horn, it brought me immense happiness and joy. And I think the overwhelming feeling I had was relief that we had got through the pandemic, that we had managed and we had come out the other side. I was really feeling very grateful that day. And every day since that I returned, I'm feeling very, very grateful.
Rovos Rail began its journey in 1986 when Rohan Vos, our founder and CEO, attended an auction hosted by Witbank Steam Railway, and he was the successful bidder of an old coach. His idea was to convert the carriage into a family caravan, which would then hook onto a spoornet train and the family would explore South Africa by rail. The railways denied his request, obviously, and suggested that he monetize his idea, and so began the evolution of what has now become a company that offers 9 journeys which traverse countries such as South Africa, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, and Namibia. We are very proud of Rovos Rail Station, as it's been a true labor of love, with us having painstakingly renovated each and every building.
My name is Alicia Talliard. I've been with Rovos Rail for over 17 years. Started as a hostess on board the train and worked my way through all of the departments, and currently holding the title as a Sales and Operations Manager based in Capital Park in Pretoria. What I love most about the train is that complete disconnect from the outside world. These days we are so busy in the hustle and bustle of daily life, and you can't get away from your screen, whether it's at home at the TV or in front of the office desk. But on board the train, you're forced to switch off and connect with the people around you. It really is what we're all looking for these days, I believe. My favorite aspect of a journey is the social atmosphere on board the train. The specific reason why we don't allow for electronic devices to be used on board the train. We used to have a train manager that always said it's about good conversation and serious drinking. So it really is a ton of fun, the friendships and the bonds that you form on board the train, especially after a long distance journey like Dar es Salaam. The guests are often crying when they say goodbye, not only to their fellow travelers, but also to the staff, because they really do become like family.
I'm Rohan Vos, and I am the founder of Rovos Rail. We launched with our first journey in 1989, and we've managed to build the company now up to 6 operational trains. We have a 60-acre property here. We rent from Transnet, which is the government railway system. We have a fine product. We think it's better than it was before. We have obviously a beautiful country here, which has got everything from deserts through to tropical, lush landscapes. You know, all we can say to people is please come. Now, of course, the funny thing with the game reserves is those lodges and so on, which have been empty, the animals seem to have taken over. So I think we're ready, you know, and we're looking forward to welcoming the sort of numbers we had in 2018-19.
One of the qualities I truly admire and appreciate about the team that I work with is they're just like our owner, his tenacity. Getting through these difficult times, everybody's had to adapt and evolve and take on additional roles, and they've all done it with a smile on their face. So coming to work every day is an absolute pleasure.
My name is Tiffany Vos-Thane. I am the youngest daughter of the founder, Rohan Vos. I am the Chief Operating Officer here at Rovos Rail. I officially have been working here for the last 4 years. Other than the implementations of the systems, we worked on many of our journeys, looking at ways to improve upon them. We really had to move our feet and be agile through the pandemic, and we only had a South African client base to offer journeys to. These trips would not have been possible if it hadn't been for the pandemic. And what's quite exciting is now knowing that those trips were a success, we could look to introducing them as part of our permanent schedule in the future.
Between March 2020 and now, it's been really tough indeed. The most difficult thing, of course, during these COVID years has been laying off the staff. We started back in 1986, and I've still got staff here that had started with me then. In fact, I think something like 3/4 of our staff have been here over 20 years now.
I would have to say that undoubtedly the toughest decision we had to make throughout the pandemic was retrenching staff. It was incredibly hard. I had never been through something like that myself, and I have to give my dad credit here, as he really held on for as long as he possibly could operationally. I'm pleased to say that we've already started welcoming back many of those staff that we had to retrench during the pandemic. And it's incredible to see so many familiar faces again after so long. That same passion, that same focus, and that same loyalty remains with those staff members. And I'm looking so forward to showing them that I'm invested in them, but also invested in what they do and what they know. The staff at Rovos Rail have been working here for a lot longer than me. I have so much to learn from them all, and not to mention from my dad. And all we can hope is that we just grow from strength to strength.
Over our 33 years, we have faced monumental uphill battles, many of which have brought us to near bankruptcy. So we really do feel that our story is one of grit, courage, faith, and humility. Nothing could have prepared us for the COVID-19 pandemic and how it would bring our business, industry, and the world to a complete standstill. If it had not been for our earlier experiences of barely scraping by, we would definitely not have made it through.
So on arrival, guests are warmly welcomed to our lounge in Capital Park. It is a very warm, homely atmosphere. There is sparkling wine, orange juice, teas and coffees available. And then we all listen to the extensive welcome that Mr. Vos offers. He really does go into a lot of detail, but guests quite enjoy it, as he does have a very strange sense of humor. After the welcome, guests are called by name and escorted to their suites on board the train, where their luggage will already be waiting. Their hostess or host will come around and explain the facilities of the suite. It is advised that guests wait around for that before they continue to the observation car, the lounge, where they can then start their journey and enjoy the conversation with their fellow guests. One of my favorite parts of doing the site tour is visiting the museum and seeing the very outdated uniforms that I actually had to wear when I started here over 17 years ago. It just brings back so many fond memories of my time working on the train itself. Most of our guests start off with a 2 or 3 night journey, one of our shorter tours, but we often enough see them coming back for the longer journeys. Our repeat client base is quite extensive, and we're very honored to say that we have some guests that have even traveled over 100 journeys. So I think that is quite an accomplishment. So one of the things I'm often asked is, what is the best time of year to travel? And that really depends on what you're coming to see. The Victoria Falls, for example, is a very different in different seasons. The Victoria Falls in March or April would be at their absolute fullest. It's just after the rain season, and it's really that smoke that thunders. But if you're coming in September and October, which is usually very popular for the moderate temperature, the falls dry up to nothing but a few rivulets. So if you're coming to see that smoke that thunders, definitely make it earlier in the year. Other options like game drives, if you're very game orientated, July is generally considered the best time of year to travel because the bush isn't as thick. When it comes to visas and passports, the onus is upon the client to ensure that their documents are in order for the trip. Of course, if you are eligible to apply for your visa at the port of entry, we do our best to take care of all the formalities on your behalf. So quite often, guests won't even know we're crossing the border. We have all the documents with us, and we'll try to take care of that as much as possible.
The vandalism on the railway network started back in 2019, actually, in December, with the theft of overhead cable. Once COVID set in and we had the lockdown, it really got out of hand. There will be copper theft still. That's not going to stop, I don't think, in the near future. The railways are doing their best to recover from the COVID destruction. But the only way for us to absorb these problems was to add extra time.
So here at Rovos Rail, we are hugely reliant on our railway provider, who is Transnet. Transnet have been our partners since the beginning, and through that partnership and over the years, it has not been without its challenges. Having said that, that's not something we can control. The issues that face Transnet and the country as a whole is something so far beyond our control. And what I learned here very quickly at Rovos Rail is we need to focus on the things we can control. And that is our service, our food, our staff, our training. All of these things we have full control over and are fully responsible for. And we continue to work with Transnet in any way we can to ensure that we can deliver on the experiences that we promise. In addition, in 2020, we were given permission to allow our workshop and locomotive staff to return to site. It was an absolute blessing as we had a tremendous amount of maintenance work to do. It allowed for our team to restore, maintain, and rebuild many of our coaches. And we are so grateful that we had that time, because now, starting to welcome guests back, our coaches are in incredible condition, restored, beautiful, and ready to go.
Luckily for us, in 2015, I purchased 14 diesel locomotives, scrap ones, mind you, and we have pleasingly managed to rebuild 11 of them. We're now busy with number 12. It's nearly finished, another month or two. And then 13 and 14 still to go. That has been a godsend, because without them, we wouldn't have had a business. However, we're managing to keep a lid on things. I see the one to Namibia ran on time all the way there. It's over a 15-day period, which is a small miracle, I suppose. I would say that it's very possible that we could end up running diesel for most of the lines that we work. And for that, we're in good position now. So if the railways phone us and say, look, we're fresh out of locomotives, or we've got no electricity, or electric power, overhead cables are gone, or otherwise there's load shedding, which has also been sent to try us, we can, propel ourselves.
We have 3 different suite categories on board. Each of them are quite different. Our entry level would be the Pullman suite. On our short journeys, we have what we call traditional Pullmans, and those would have the bunk bed during the day that folds out to become a double bed in the evening. It has a nice spacious bathroom and plenty of space to unpack. If you're traveling as a group and you all would like the same room layout, the deluxe suites are definitely recommended. Slightly larger floor space with a nice lounge area, and then a full-size bathroom en suite. And of course, our royal suites are the creme de la creme and the best way to travel through the African countryside. Features a Victorian bathtub and separate shower in the bathroom. So you can imagine that's a beautiful view going through the Karoo in a bubble bath with a glass of bubbly in hand. In keeping with the Edwardian style of the train, we do enforce a dress code in the evenings. It is a formal dress code for most of the nights, which is usually a minimum requirement of a collar and tie for gents. Ladies love to follow suit. It's not often that we have the opportunity to dress up these days, and it really is such a magical atmosphere in the evenings. During the day, it's smart casual on board. And for those that are not too keen on a collar and tie, on our longer journeys, we do include some smart casual evenings and even theme nights. So if you like to dress up, there is the opportunity to join on our Africa night, as well as a 1920s theme night, which all our guests always enjoy. It's a very adult atmosphere on board the train, and for that reason we generally don't recommend that children join the journeys. Especially on our longer journeys, no children under the age of 13 years would be permitted. But on our shorter trips, the 2 and 3 night journeys, and especially over the festive season when we see more multi-generation travelers traveling, we do welcome children between the age of 2 and 10 years of age as well. From 2 to 9, it's 75% of the adult rate, and from 10 years and older, it would be a full adult rate. We generally encourage guests to rather communicate with the people around them than with the outside world. It is important to note that we don't have any Wi-Fi on board. There is usually some signal if we travel through the larger areas, but most of our journeys travel through very remote areas, and even your local mobile networks will not have range. So if you're planning to do some work on the train, rather put that off for another day. We offer a 5-star cuisine on board. Each meal is paired with a beautiful South African wine, so it's a perfect opportunity to taste and experience all the different wine regions of South Africa right on board the train. Our chefs also do their utmost to cater for all dietary requirements. It's unfortunately only religious meals like halal and kosher that we're not able to assist with.
We are a family-owned and run business, and the passion is felt through the entire company. Rovos Rail is either in your blood or it's not. New staff members quickly figure out whether they will make it with us or not. Hospitality is not glamorous. It's emotional and hard work. So there is no room for being half in, and especially not here at Rovos Rail.